Here we have an MSW intern trying to assess for hoarding symptoms, and she also explains her limits of confidentiality to the client.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Lisa Gage. I'm a MSW intern at Cal State Bakersfield. And so I'm doing some screening and some assessment.
Okay.
So what was your name?
My name's Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So what brings you in today?
Well, my husband wanted me to come see somebody. Been having some problems at home and in my marriage. So he thought it might be best for me to talk to somebody else. He preferred a female, so then I can maybe possibly make it relate to me or vice versa. So yeah.
So there's some issues with your marriage, right? Okay, well I want to make sure that you understand that everything that we say in here is confidential.
Okay.
I can't share the information with anybody else. It's just between you or I. Now I might have to write, I'll have to write up an assessment about what we talked about today. And so because I am an MSW intern, then my professor will be the only person that will look it over. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
There are a couple exceptions
Okay.
to that. One of them being if I feel that you may be a danger to yourself or to others,
Okay.
then I'm what's called a mandated reporter, and that means then I would be required to notify somebody that I believe you may want to harm yourself or somebody else.
Okay.
Okay, do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. After our interview, we'll go ahead and have you sign that notification showing that you agree to the confidentiality agreement.
Okay.
Okay. So you were telling me that you were having some problems with your husband. Can you tell me more about your family situation?
Okay, well, in my home there's myself, my husband, and my son. My son is 18 years old, and he just graduated. Now he's off to college. He's out of state. So I miss him very much. And when he left, my husband, he seemed excited for him, and I was excited for him too. But my husband already, had plans to change his room and make it into an office and stuff, and I'm just not ready to let go of his stuff. And so what triggered all this was the office, and as my husband was starting to go through things, I came home and saw him doing that, and I got very upset. And I caught him throwing away things of my son's from like the first grade. And there were just some pictures, like dittos that he colored, and I don't know, maybe they weren't important to my husband, but they were very important to me. And I kind of wanted to leave my son's room the way it was, and like my son left a couple of soda cans in his room. I wanted to keep it that way. His dirty clothes, I just wanted to keep everything as is. And even there's other things that I started accumulating as well in the house, which has also triggered my husband being upset. There's a portion of the family room where I started buying things, and I kind of started storing them in the family room. But now you can't even hardly walk into the family room because it's pretty cluttered.
So it sounds like we have several different things going on here.
Yeah.
The most important I'm hearing you say is the separation between you and your son, him moving away to college. Did he stay local? Did he leave the state?
No, he moved out of state, yes. He's in New York, and I have to text him all the time and FaceTime him at least once a week and stuff, but it's really hard, being away from him, so I don't want to get rid of anything, and whatever I see that reminds me of him, I will buy it or keep, so.
Well, it's understandable that it's a difficult time for you. since he's gone away to college, you've been with him his whole life, and now he's gone. It's not like he's close. There's a term for that. They call it empty nest syndrome. Have you heard that term before? Yeah, and so it's difficult sometimes for parents when their child leaves the nest. So it's understandable why you're feeling, having some feelings. How would you describe the feelings?
I feel empty. I feel that a part of me is missing. I sometimes get a little, sad, but those possessions keep me happy. I like seeing his empty soda cans, and if I go to the store and I see his favorite soda, I'll buy cases of it because it reminds me of him. And even though he's not here, and I don't drink soda, my husband's a diabetic, but it reminds me of him, so I'll buy it, and my husband will get so upset with me and say, Chrissy, why are you wasting all this money on soda? He is not going to be home. I can't drink it. You don't drink it. What is the purpose? And I tell my husband, the purpose is because it makes me happy buying these things, and it reminds me of him. So.
And your husband has a hard time understanding that?
He does. He doesn't understand that these possessions make me happy.
Have you considered the situation from his side? Can you relate to his point of view on the situation?
I mean, I guess I can, because since the majority of the things I have been purchasing for the past 7 or 8 months, they are taking up a lot of space in the house, and we have a very small house. So I can see why my husband would be excited having an empty room, and wanting to make his own personal space and office. So I can understand that, but I'm also having a really hard time understanding why isn't he missing him as much as I am, or why isn't he holding on to the empty soda bottles or his laundry, or I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, it's my child.
Is it possible that your husband's dealing with it in a different way than you are?
I don't really know, because, since we've been arguing for the past, 7 or 8 months, I don't really have a really strong relationship right now with him, so I don't know how he's handling him being gone. As soon as I get off of work, I'm really tired, and I kind of don't want to be bothered, and I'll go up to my son's room, and I'll, lay on his bed and just kind of watch TV, kind of do the things that he would do if he was here. So I really don't know. I care how my husband feels, but I haven't really wanted to really know. Doesn't make sense, but oh well.
So tell me about the items that you're purchasing besides the soda that reminds you of your son.
Oh my goodness. Anything on my breaks, I'll go to the Dollar Tree or to Walmart, and I'll just walk around, and I don't have the intentions to buy these things, but if I see things that remind me of my son or when he was little, I'll buy them, such as, I'll give you an example. Last week I was on my break, and it was hot, so I wanted to be in a cool store, so I was walking around, and I saw these small stuffed animals. And I remember my son loved stuffed animals when he was 5, so I bought about a dozen of them, because maybe he might have kids one day, or he might want to start his own collection. So I purchased some stuffed animals, and I brought them home, and I have them in the bag, and I just kind of, I tried hiding them from my husband because I knew it was going to cause a problem. But my husband found them, and we got into an argument about that. He said, we don't really have the money right now to be purchasing items because we're supporting my son being out of state. But I don't see it like that. I see that my son can use these things when he gets back home.
So what I'm hearing you say is you're leaving his room exactly as it was when he left, but you're purchasing things that remind you of him, and you're storing those in your family room, which is now getting difficult to move around in.
Yeah, we can't watch TV in the family room anymore. And I've kind of also been storing things in other places, like in the garage. Any available space, basically, I'll kind of put things away. As long as it looks organized, I figure, what's the problem? So,
And tell me about how you perceive it being organized.
in plastic bags. Plastic bags, and I'll just kind of like stack them really nice against the wall, or maybe underneath the bathroom sink, or but right now we cannot use the family room because it is a pretty small family room and there's a lot of stuff there. But my son could use these things, and it reminds me of him, and like I said, I just miss him so much.
Here we have symptoms characteristic of hoarding, such as having problems getting rid of things. In this case, they are items that remind the client about her son, which causes her major distress to be pressured to get rid of them by her husband. Her excessive purchasing and collecting of items is cluttering her home to the degree that she can't use her family room anymore. These situations are not only creating problems in her marriage, but also in her daily living, since she also uses her breaks at work to buy items. She seems to express fair insight, since she recognizes that the clutter is impeding ease of mobility in her family room, and she's having arguments with her husband because of this.
Well, I kind of started putting some stuff in the garage, which my husband's very upset about because he feels that's his man cave, and that should be his personal space. But so yeah, I've been putting some stuff in there. I put some stuff in the bathroom, just underneath. I try to organize it, but it can be difficult. Buying so many things. And my car is pretty packed with stuff.
So the things that remind you of your son, are they always things that you purchase?
No. And this was another argument that we had. So, if I see anything free, if I see anything laying on the street, if I see things in trash cans, like dumpsters, I will bring it home. But my son could really use these things. For example, I was on my lunch break and I was going to a store, and I didn't notice that my husband was kind of following me, and he caught me, I guess you can say, exploring in the dumpster. I know it sounds really bad, but there was a foldable chair, and my son could really use it for his dorm, and so as I was about to put it in my car, my husband pulls up and he just starts yelling at me, like, what the hell are you doing? And I told him that I can clean it up and give it to my son for his dorm room, but my husband was really upset because, for one, he feels that we could purchase a new one, even though we're kind of tight on money right now. But two, there's no need for me to be doing that. But I still brought it home, and it caused a major problem.
So it sounds like your husband really does have some strong feelings towards you're bringing this stuff home and purchasing the stuff. I mean, if he's willing to kind of follow you and see what you do. So this is a serious, it sounds to me like this is a serious conflict between the two of you.
Yeah, it is.
I'd like to just explore a couple of other areas.
Okay.
Can you tell me about your family?
My immediate family?
Outside of your husband and your son.
Oh, okay. I have a mother and a father and a sister. So a very small family, and I'm the youngest. My parents don't live in town. They're both retired. My sister, I don't have a very close relationship with her. My parents growing up, my dad guns. He was a police officer, so he collected guns and badges and handcuffs, typical cop stuff. And my mom, she worked kind of off and on growing up. Since my dad was a cop, my mom raised us, I guess, more than my dad. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean,
So your father's, as a collector, as he collected things, did your mother have issues about his collections?
oh yeah, yeah. My mom would be very upset that he bought multiple guns. My dad, I guess he felt that it was just a hobby, but my mom looked at it like, why do you need like 40 guns? There's no need for that. Have just a handful. My dad would spend a lot of his time cleaning his guns, and he kind of used to lay his guns around the house, which is really dangerous. But we knew not to touch them and stuff. But yeah, guns. Badges from other police officers. Let's see, the ones that retired or died, what have you. Yeah, he was a collector. He collected a lot of things. Now that I think of it, he's also collected, which is really kind of weird, but like lawnmowers and edgers and it's odd. So yeah.
Did his collecting take up space in the home like yours does, or was it just less severe than your collection?
The backyard was pretty bad. The backyard had a lot of stuff. My dad had multiple sheds, and they were just overflowing with stuff. So it wasn't just guns and badges and what have you. It was a lot of gardening tools and equipment and that kind of thing. My dad lived at the outside, so he had at least, I want to say, 6 sheds in the backyard, and it was a really small backyard. So, which would cause arguments between my mother and my father, because my mom would, want her backyard and to garden or what have you, and it was just full of crap.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there's some similarities between your marriage and your parents' marriage. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know, because I miss my sons. That's why I'm, getting these things.
In regards to collections.
Oh, in collections. Yeah, I can say, yeah. But I feel like I'm doing it more for my son rather than for myself, as opposed to my dad who's doing it for himself rather than for someone else. But I can see what you're saying as far as the collecting in general. I guess so, yeah.
And the collecting in general taking up space.
Yes.
And causing conflict with the significant other. That's.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your medical history.
Okay, well, I can't have any more children. I had a hysterectomy about 10 years ago. I think I'm healthy. I don't go to the doctors all the time. I mean, I absolutely have to. There was one time after my son was born, they thought I had, what is it called after you have a baby, and postpartum. I don't know, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I was pretty depressed for a little bit, but then I adjusted to being a new mother. Let's see. I don't get any headaches or any migraines or anything like that. Other than that, I'm pretty healthy.
So let's talk a little bit about the postpartum depression. Did they give you a diagnosis of postpartum depression? Or did they just talk about it with you?
I think they just talked about it, yeah. But they did want to put me on some type of depressants. So, and I declined it because I don't want to be labeled as crazy. So, and I was a little worried on how it would make me feel. So, but I adjusted, and I'm fine.
So that was 18 years ago?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so have you had any more episodes of depression since then?
I mean, I cry and crying's normal, right?
Crying is normal.
Yeah. So
If it's excessive.
Hoarding can be genetic and first develop when the individual is around 11 to 15 years old. The interviewer managed to assess and capture these details. Since the client mentioned her dad's collecting, she also managed to discard a medical condition being the cause of the hoarding.
Okay, will you say that you cry sometimes? That's a very normal emotion. It might become an issue if the crying starts affecting your personal relationships or maybe your work or maybe you want to spend the day in the bed crying. Do you have symptoms like that of crying?
nope, I go to work and I'm fine, and I come home and I don't cry. And once in a while I do cry, but it's not something that's like every day or all the time. It's just whenever I feel a little sad. Sometimes I will, but
So it's not the same type of feeling as the postpartum depression was?
oh, not at all. No.
Okay, great. So I wanted to talk about also your psychiatric history. Have you ever received any type of psychiatric treatment before?
No. No. Not at all.
Do you have a family history? Does anybody in your family have a history of psychiatric disorders?
Not that I know of. No. No, we're all pretty normal, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that your collecting is affecting you and your husband's relationship. So what is the primary goal you want to work on?
Gosh, I don't know. That's a really hard question because I'm not sure if I can let go of his things. Whenever my husband, tries to clean up his room or the things that I buy for him, I get very anxious and very angry, and I react very fast. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint what I would want to work on. But since you asked me the question and I would have to pick one goal, I guess it would be how can I have a functioning marriage but yet still be able to keep at least some possessions?
So picking one goal is difficult. Would it be easier to make, let's say if you chose three goals? Would that be easier?
I guess my 3 goals would be, working on our relationship with my husband. I guess have a cleaner house so then we can, enjoy the family room and we can spend time together. And can my other goal be my son come back home? I'm kidding. I guess the 3rd goal would be to really limit my spending because I know it's affecting our finances.
When you, the things that you've collected in remembrance of your son, some of them more relevant than others is what I'm hearing you say. If somebody, your husband, or maybe even if it was your mother or your father came and tried to help clean out the family room, how would that make you feel?
Oh, I'd be upset. Like I said, if my husband cleans up some of the things that I purchased, I just get livid. I become very anxious and I get very tense. I get very angry and very vocal and yeah.
Would it be easier for you to allow your mother or your father to come in and help clean out maybe some of the excessive items?
Well, no, because they don't know what I want to keep or what I want to throw away. So I would like to do it on my own time so that I can go through piece by piece, paper by paper, wrapper by wrapper. I want to go through it all myself to see, but that takes time. I have a lot of things in the family room and in the garage and everywhere else.
So do you agree with your husband that there's an excessive amount of items?
Yeah, I can see that, especially in the family room, because it's not, we can't use it right now. It's not functional. So I can see what he's saying. Definitely.
The interviewer sought to ensure that her symptoms were connected to another mental disorder like depression or obsessions from obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Okay, so we talked about maybe a couple of goals that maybe could be worked on, and we'll address some of those goals a little bit later. But I was wondering if you woke up tomorrow and everything could be perfect in your world, and it would be just the way you want it. Can you describe that for me?
Well, I guess obviously I have my son closer to home, if not at home. Maybe my financial status right now could be better, my situation. My relationship with my husband could be better. We can communicate better with each other. And maybe be able to access more places in the house that I really can't get to right now because of the clutter. So yeah, I would want all those things.
Okay. And those sound like appropriate things. Do you feel like you could make the changes necessary to meet some of those ideas?
I mean, well, realistically, I can't bring my son home, and I understand that. He's away in college,
Right.
and I get that. So, in a perfect world, I would love to have him home, but I understand he cannot be home, so we're going to have to move him aside. Now, as far as my relationship with my husband, yeah, I think I can work on communicating with him better because I react very quickly, and it causes massive arguments. And so, yeah, my communication definitely has to improve.
Okay. I'd like to go back and revisit a little bit about your family and your childhood.
Okay.
You talked about your dad collecting things.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you were younger, did you have any tendency to collect anything?
That was so long ago. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. When I was little, okay, this is going to sound a little crazy, but when I was little, I used to collect gum wrappers. That's odd, huh?
Gum wrappers?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, when I was little, I loved to chew gum, and I still do. But when I was little, my friends, I would just ask for sticks of gum, or if like family members would just give them to me, or they would have them like at restaurants, or I don't know. And I love smelling them and holding the wrappers, and I would make them into like really tiny squares. I know it sounds a little weird, but I would collect them, and they made me happy. And my mom found my collection one day. They were all under my bed. I must have had at least 200, I want to say. And she got really upset with me, and she told me that I can't have them anymore because they'll attract bugs. And so I removed them all, but I put them in a shoebox. And then I put some more in another shoebox. And so I just had like a bunch of gum wrappers over the years. And I finally got rid of the day that I got rid of them was the day that I moved out of my house because it wasn't realistic to bring a bunch of shoe wrappers to a studio apartment. So that was pretty sad for me that day.
So, were they only your gum wrappers?
Oddly, no. Like if my friends chewed gum, I would ask them for their wrappers, and then I would be able to identify which wrapper belonged to which person. And then like if my grandfather, when he was alive, when he would give me gum, his gum wrappers, I would remember, oh, this is the time that my grandpa gave me this gum wrapper. So yeah, but after a while there were so many of them, it was really hard to remember. But I would still keep them because I was happy.
So when you you said when you moved out that you got rid of those gum wrappers. Tell me about how that made you feel when you had to get rid of those.
Oh, I was horrible. I felt like a piece of me was missing, you know, because all these gum wrappers, they were all connected to somebody who I loved or I cared about. So it felt like a part of me was gone, and it was really, really sad for me. But I understood that, you know, I had a very small studio. There was just no way, you know. So, yeah.
So it sounds like it had an impact on you when you had to get rid of those.
It did.
And it's maybe similar to the impact if you had to get rid of some of the stuff you have now?
Yes, yeah, because the things that I've been purchasing for my son, or finding things for my son, or things that my son had, you know, those are all very meaningful things to me because I can connect it to my son. So, yeah.
The client expressed a history of abnormal collecting, hoarding when she was younger, and as mentioned before, hoarding tends to first develop at the ages of 11 to 15 years old. However, it can become problematic in the later stages of life, such as it is expressed here in the client's life, due to the fact that it can interfere in the individual's everyday functioning.